All right, everybody, welcome back to what is arguably one of the most challenging sections to grasp when we're building this out. So, what we currently have right now is we have four Databricks workspaces. One of those Databricks workspaces, the hub, is the default workspace assigned with the Metastore. Our other workspaces are operating independently at the moment. They do not have a Metastore attached to them other than the default Hive Metastore. And so what we're trying to do is take the initial hub Metastore, or our kind of like our primary Metastore, and we're going to assign that out to the various workspaces. That means that we need to be authenticated in as something with authentication at this level. And then we also need to somehow be able to authenticate into these various dev, QA, and prod environments as well, so that we can push out our resources. So for each one of these Metastore assignments, we need to be able to kind of dual authenticate. When I come in here and I take a look at the code and I kind of walk you through this, we've already worked through the hub, the unity.hub module. So now we're going to work through the unity.spoke module. And so what I've done is I've pulled in the Metastore assignment. The Metastore assignment itself is pretty simple. It's all of the prerequisites that we need to gather, which are a bit more challenging. So you can hard code these in. It might make your life a lot easier, but I think if we do it programmatically like this, you'll understand what's going on a little bit better. So first of all, I also want to point out too that when we're deploying this, I'm in the unity.catalog plan, but then the sub plan will be directory driven. So I'll be coming in from the dev plan. One of the things that's a little bit different during this section is that for each of these phases, I will still be logged in with my hub account. So I'm going to change into my hub account, so my hub subscription. So even though I'm in my dev folder, I'm still logged in through the hub. Okay, take a look at my main file. So one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to push up to that Unity spoke. My environment is going to be dev. I need my Databricks account. So this is the account ID for all of Databricks for me. My hub subscription, which I've got that locally. And then for quote unquote this subscription, what we're going to be using is the dev. So when I go to a different folder, we'll swap that out for the QA subscription and then the prod subscription. I need to use two different providers. So I've got this provider for basically for dev, and then I've got my hub provider as well. The next piece is my Databricks propagation, which this is pointing to my local configs file. So we'll circle back to this later on. Next up, I'm grabbing my variables. So these are just going to be those things that I just referenced up here. What we're doing is just storing these locally as environmental variables that we can grab. So it's my Databricks account, my hub subscription, and my dev subscription ID. Of course, we're setting up our Terraform backend here, and we are also going to be passing a couple of Azure providers. So one of the Azure providers is for my dev subscription, one is for the hub subscription. It's aliased, my dev one is aliased as this, my hub subscription is aliased as hub. That way when I do a copy and paste later on, it's not going to be completely dry, but really the only thing that I'll need to change will be the word dev throughout. And so my dev is going to be switched to QA. So anytime you see like dev here, it's going to be referenced as this. So that's kind of the main folder of my dev unity.catalog environment that's going to shoot up into the unity.spoke folder. So back to this folder, we've got a provider, a workspace ID, and a Metastore ID. Let's take a look at that provider first. That's kind of the baseline of this. So my provider, in this case, will be a Databricks provider. We're using a different host than before. So at the workspace level, we were using a specific workspace URL, but this is going to be an account level permission that we're assigning out. So if we're doing account level governance, then what I'm doing is pointing this to the host of accounts.azuredatabricks.net. I'm giving it my account ID, My auth type is Azure CLI, and then my alias is just this account. So that's this part. Next up for the workspace ID, this is more familiar. This is what we've kind of been doing already. So to get the workspace ID, I'm just going to this workspace. I'm grabbing it by the resource name, pointing it to a specific group, in this case the dev group. And then I have to, because I'm no longer in the default resource group, I am authenticated at this point to my hub subscription, but I am pointing to the provider associated with my dev subscription. So what I'm doing is I'm basically grabbing something out of a different subscription than where I'm authenticated. So grabbing that workspace ID, the next thing I need is my Metastore ID. The Metastore ID you could copy and paste in hard code. Alternatively, what I have done is in my Unity catalog plan for hub, if you remember, I grabbed the Metastore ID as an output value. So because that's an output value, I can now reference it later on. So what I'm doing is reaching in to my remote state, and that is where that value has been stored as an output value. So I'm reaching into the same remote state as what I was using when I was in that hub environment. So I'm grabbing the data, so data block, the Terraform remote state of the hub, and then I'm grabbing the outputs, and then I'm grabbing that Metastore ID as the output. So what we're going to do is just do a Terraform apply. And while that's getting ready to apply, let's just hop over here and see that right now we do not have a Metastore for this. And we can also, let's refresh this because I've destroyed these groups. We shouldn't have any groups right now. So let's go to my data, go to my Metastore, and we can see which workspaces this has been applied to. So right now this is just on my first workspace. All right, so this is, what's this going to do? It's going to add the Metastore to one location, so we'll say yes. Give this just a minute to apply. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. All right, and it looks like that applied. So what I'll do is, let's just come up here and refresh it. So I do see at the account level, I do see that my Metastore has been applied to another workspace. If I hop into my dev workspace, I can refresh and I should see a Metastore up at the top now. And that's what we've got. So at this point, what I'm going to do is just kind of run through this. I'm just going to cd down into my QA environment, Terraform apply. It should take just a minute. So we're at, yeah, it's going to run pretty quickly. So we'll just watch it. Okay, that's ready to apply. I'll say yes. Pause again. Okay, so my QA should be good to go. Let's just go double check. Let's head back over here. Let's do a refresh, and yeah, there we go. We see the QA is there. Let's just cd back down into my prod, Terraform apply. And remember, what's kind of cool about this is I've kind of got the same setup in my prod and QA main files, pointing back to the same module here. So there's not really too much to change. Kind of once I'm happy with what this module looks like, then everything should deploy, and it should be, you know, pretty straightforward. Hopping between environments. It's kind of really understanding how to set up that first environment that's the trickiest. So we'll give this just another minute. Okay, it's ready to apply, so I'll say yes. Okay, and it looks like it went ahead and applied, so let's hop on over here, and there you go. You see that it's got the fourth one there. So at this point, we have created our Metastore and then perform Metastore assignment. So next up, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and assign some groups and then start creating some catalogs with permissions in the next video. That's it for now, and I'll see you on the next one.